to give you new tools that you can integrate into your practice and your life starting. I'm going to cover how to avoid the 3 main mistakes that many therapists and coaches make and other professionals, and what to do instead. I'm going to give you some keys that you can use now to improve your practice and your relationship, and look at how we can transform any desire to leave into a possibility and opportunity for healing. We recognize we're all grumpy sometimes, right? Albert Einstein has said that men marry women hoping they'll never change. Women marry men hoping to change them, and inevitably they're both disappointed. And then they call me or they call you, and we're there to help them, because they might get angry, they might get withdrawn and withholding, but no matter what they show up with in my office, anger, withdrawal, a desire to leave, hopelessness, I always see the inner child underneath each participant, either if they're alone or with their partner, yearning for the 4 needs of the heart, yearning for attention, affection, appreciation, and acceptance. And it's our job to help them give it to themselves first and then share it with their partners. Because sometimes, even in the best of counseling, even in the best of relationships, there's a part that wants to wonder what it would be like if I left this relationship, if I gave up trying to change him or her, if I let go of all the problems we've been dealing with. And how do you deal with that when they come into your office? The way I look at it is that behind every cloud, the sun is still shining. And an opportunity for healing happens when someone is honest enough to talk about the part of them that's thought about leaving. And I also believe that families need not be broken, but can be peacefully and respectfully restructured. People would do as much work on themselves in their marriage as they have to do to get divorced and create a better relationship than the one they wanted to leave. And sometimes when people finally have the courage to say, I don't think I can do this anymore, their partner pays more attention, especially if they're speaking with compassion and confidence, not with yelling or ultimatums or frustrations or hopelessness. But when you talk about the possibility of an ending with compassion and confidence, you can consider a new beginning, and you can help your clients do that. Because we're not just the drop in the ocean, we're the entire ocean in the drop. So in IFS terminology, we all have a healthy self. And when we're in self, we're calm, clear, connected, compassionate. You know those moments? They're usually just moments. We're not in self very much. We're in parts. We have parts that we exile, push aside. We have parts that we manage with and show the world. And we have parts that we get extreme with. And what we're going to do today is talk about how we can be more in self ourselves when we're working with our clients, and how we can help our clients be more in self. Best self. All we have to do is take a breath. So let's do that right now. Everybody take a breath. Good. And now we're going to look at the 3 mistakes to avoid and what to do instead. Mistake number 1 is getting lost in clients' stories. Have you done that before? I know I had a client who called me recently. It was a new client. She thought her husband was having an affair. She was all fraught on the phone with a lot of different issues. What should she do? Should she leave? Should she stay? She came into my office and she was still upset and had a lot to share with me. She could have used the whole time to tell me her story. After about 5 or 10 minutes of listening compassionately, I asked her if she's open to looking at her situation from a different perspective. And often she might not be ready to, but I tell her, you could continue to talk about the issues for another 45 minutes, but then you're going to walk out of here only marginally better because I've witnessed you, but I haven't helped you. So let me ask you a few questions. And here's the questions I ask. So instead of getting stuck in their stories, you help them access their self-energy. What does that mean, to access self-energy? It means that what I do is ask a series of questions to get all the details I need as I model compassion and understanding, even as I'm asking questions fairly rapidly to find out all that I need to know. But while I'm doing that, I'm in self and I'm offering them hope for healing and transformation. You're going to ask these questions. So just take a breath and imagine meeting a new client. They tell you a little bit about their story, or even ask these questions for yourself if you're looking at your own relationship. What does your partner do that triggers you? And what do you do to trigger your partner? Meaning, how do you act towards each other? Are you angry, resentful, withholding, judgmental? Look at your parts. And then I ask my clients to describe their families of origin, because as they take a brief view into who they came from and also look at the parents of their partner, they can often get more clarity at why they are both in the situation that they're in. For instance, if their partner came from an alcoholic home and couldn't get his needs met, then he didn't learn how to be very nurturing, and therefore he can't nurture his wife the way she might want. But just having that question in the initial interview gives them a different perspective. I also ask the magic wand question. If you had a magic wand, what would you want to see? And then I find out, are they really done with the relationship? Would they like to make it better? What is their ultimate goal? Sometimes people want to leave because they haven't been asked to stay, but they really, truly want to stay with their partner. And then I ask them the word for spirituality. And the reason I do that is because when I work with someone, I want them to be as much in self as I can help them be, with as much higher consciousness as I can guide them towards. And sometimes if I ask them their word for spirituality, they may say God. And then I'll say, well, where is God? And if they say God is all over, I'll say, is God also in you? Because that becomes a vernacular I'll use for being in self. If they don't believe in God, it's that feeling that they have when they're in nature, universe, higher power, true self, whatever word they want to use, to know that there is another way to look at this issue that isn't from their reactive parts that are judgmental, scared, angry, ready to leave. So that's what you do for number one. You don't have to get lost in your story or your client stories. Now let's look at mistake number two, losing confidence in the middle of high conflict. And again, I don't know if you were like me when I first started. I got scared when somebody got really angry. It reminded me of my beloved manic depressive father and made me feel a little insecure. Sometimes I thought of maybe they're going to have a heart attack or I'd need to call 911 because I wasn't sure how to contain it. But now I know. And the way to do that is, first of all, to take a breath. And as you take a breath, you ask your clients to take a breath. Because as they take a breath, you can be present to the part that they're showing you that's so angry. You can acknowledge the anger, but also say, I see how angry you are, but I'm sure you're also hurt and sad underneath. Is that right? And sometimes just being able to validate all of their parts helps the client calm down or your partner calm down. Sometimes I'll separate the couple, even on Zoom, and work with the angry participant to help them download what they're angry about to come more back to self. And then I put them back together. But you need to heal your own parts that are triggered by anger so that you can be a calm, compassionate presence with your clients. And what I do in the first session is I talk about self in parts. I do a meditation to help them get to their higher self. And I invite my clients to speak for a part instead of from a part. In other words, there's a part of me that's so angry because, instead of yelling at their partner. So don't lose confidence. You can learn how to share the miracle of empathy. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to help people learn how to forgive themselves and their partner, how to practice listening, understanding, and truly empathizing without justifying, defending, rationalizing. And also to recognize that they each have an inner child, and they can be very compassionate to that inner child as they talk about whatever their issues are. So let's talk about mistake number 3. Sometimes we think that just because an individual or a couple is thinking of divorce, that that's the end of the line for their relationship. That's not true. When you give people the space to talk about all of their parts, even if the part of them is wondering, what would it be like if I left? You can go into a whole deeper level of conversation and healing because you've made space for that part to be seen, acknowledged, understood, and even spoken with in a way that moves the couple forward. because sometimes one member of a couple wants to stay, another one wants to go. And I tell the initiator, the one that wants to leave, if you don't talk about the emotional piece, the person that wants to stay won't be part of this process. Oh, and if you go file for divorce, they'll draw out the process as long as possible. And I tell the partner that doesn't want a divorce that if you're not willing to talk about what a separation or divorce would look like, your partner is not totally invested in marriage counseling and they're not going to stick around. So you have to learn how to straddle both. And you do that by getting new tools. You get a tool set that gives you a way to create a new beginning, even when an ending is discussed. So you have the tools and the resources and the information and support you need to become the expert that you want to be in conflict resolution. And what's the cost of not knowing? If you don't know how to do this, you lose clients, you get frustrated, you feel overwhelmed, isolated. Sometimes you may feel like you want to stop doing what you're doing and get another career. So let's take a breath for just a minute and just be present with whatever's coming up for you right now. You can send me any of your questions. I'll get back to you with answers. And if you'd like, I just want to take a few moments to tell you about the opportunities that are present if you want to work with me some more. And what that is I have a compassionate mediation program for individuals and couples. And I have compassionate mediation certification for therapists, coaches, mediators, attorneys, counselors, and clergy who might want to learn my process of compassionate mediation. And if you're a therapist or coach, I also give continuing education credits for this process. And I blend my legal information, my mediation experience, my healing, my spiritual background to blend emotional and spiritual healing along with legal and financial information and support. And I give you all the tools you need to be able to do the same. I wrote the book, Compassionate Mediation, in 2016. And Dick Schwartz said that divorce does bring out the worst in us and leaves lasting scars. It's relationship healing at its best. So what we do in compassionate mediation is we teach people how to compassionately communicate, how to be their best self, let go of limiting beliefs and judgments about themselves and their partner, unburden pain from the past, and relate from their heart. We can all stay courageous in the face of whatever challenge or adversity this process brings. And because we're coming from higher consciousness, we can create reasonable compromise and we can stay curious about options and resolutions and stay open to better possibilities for their future. And here's what some of my clients have said, and this is what some of your clients could say, that they can improve their relationship, have a compassionate divorce, a new marriage, mindfully work through the divorce, and come out with peace and hope. They can free themselves from destructive patterns, love all parts of themselves, accept all parts of their partners, even if they choose to leave, and they can move forward with peace and strength. That's what I want your clients to be able to say. And in the Compassionate Mediation program, I give you a way to be your best self and understand your rights and finances. But if you're going into the certification, I teach you how to do that initial interview, share the miracle of empathy, explore your options, understand your rights and responsibilities, and create a new relationship using all these skills right now. And for those of you who are doing this for your own relationship, I have the Compassionate Mediation program for you. So for more information, and I hope you'll want to learn more, at the roadmap, which will lead to the opportunity to have a 15-minute conversation with me to see if this is something that you'd like to use in your career or your life. The RA is a relationship assessment where you can assess your current relationship now and how you can make changes. And if you want to learn more about the certification, you can schedule a time to chat. And I look forward to staying connected. Bye for now.